Welcome along to 98 Not Out. It's a sunny, hot day here in deepest, darkest Essex. Um, Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't, make sure you do. And make sure you don't miss out on all the great content that 98 Not Out brings you. Today, I've got a very old friend who I'm delighted to get back onto the show. It's a big, warm welcome to Mr. Paul Newman.
Hi, Darren. I'm an even older friend than when I last spoke to you. I'm afraid. Yeah, the years are clocking on, but yeah, no, still here and great to speak to you again.
Well, this is it. Since the last time we've spoken, I'm just going to divert a little bit, but both of our football teams have won trophies. What is going on?
I know, amazing, isn't it? Amazing, and I have a bit of a connection with your team as well now because my daughter-in-law is a massive Palace fan. She actually does a podcast about Palace, which I'll give a plug here too, if that's okay,
Yeah,
Darren.
what's it called?
The Palace one. If any Palace fans are out there, including your good self, if you'd like to listen to it, I think she does a terrific job on it. So we had two trophies in the family within 4 days, and we were absolutely delighted about it. Can't believe Spurs have finally won something after all these years, and then we go and sack the manager, which is typical Spurs. But
Very
no,
Spursy.
very happy with our trophy. Very happy with your one as well. Congratulations, brilliant. I just hope everything's okay with the Europa League with Palace because it'd be absolutely criminal if they try to chuck you out of the Europa League.
Fingers crossed that doesn't happen. I actually went to Wembley uh, very last minute. I dropped my son and his friend off at the railway station, and they were on their way up there with their Palace shirts and hats and flags and everything. And driving back home, I thought I'm going to sit at home and watch this on my own with a can of beer and my dog. And I thought I can't do this. And the voice was getting louder in the back of my head. Next thing, I'm on the laptop. I've paid up, and I'm on the train myself within 20 minutes. And thank God I did.
Brilliant, brilliant. Oh, it must have been lovely to be there.
Unbelievable. Although I was in the city end in Club Wembley, which so I had to sit on my hands a little bit and bite my tongue, but it was all
Uh-huh.
right. It was all right.
Yeah, yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Now, last time we spoke, you were chief cricket writer for the Daily Mail and hanging your boots up, or about to hang your boots up. But like all good things, you cannot keep a good man down, and you are back. So, what's going on?
I am, yeah. As you say, Darren, I finished at the Mail last year after 18 years doing the job. It was the right time to go, I thought, and the Mail wanted me to as well. So I did not as if I had too much choice in it, but I was happy to go. It was the right time. I'd had a really good run, and I was content. And I thought I was done really. I'd spent 42 years full time journalism. And I thought I'd had my fill, and I should get out while the going was good. But 1 year on, having enjoyed a really good year, doing all sorts of things I've had time to do, and including being a cricket fan again, which has been lovely, sitting watching a game with a glass of wine, not having to worry about what you're going to write. But I received this offer to come out of retirement to help launch Cricket for the Athletic, which is a wonderful platform. I'm a big fan of it. For those of your viewers and listeners who don't know too much about it, it's an American-owned platform by the New York Times, who started doing English football a few years ago and snapped up some of the very best football writers in the business. They've got some brilliant people there. They do football very well. They've decided the time is right for them to do cricket. And they've asked me to cover the England-India Test series. So it started today. We're speaking on Wednesday, as we record, and the first piece is out there now. And I can say as well that it's free to read. They're not putting cricket behind the paywall to try to give it a boost. And they're going to be daily pieces from now on throughout the England-India Test series. And I'm absolutely delighted. As I say, I'm a subscriber and I'm a fan of the website and the platform. And it's given me a great opportunity when I thought that my days were finished doing this. So it's really nice. I couldn't say no, really.
No, you can't. And yeah, it is a very important publication, and it's good that they are putting cricket free to everyone. I'll put the link to the piece in the comments section.
Thank you.
It's kind of like how cricket writing or cricket coverage is evolving. When you and I were young men, all the national newspapers in England during the cricket season would cover county matches and let alone England matches, and you'd get scorecards, particularly in the broadsheets, with all the details of what was going on and updates on how matches were progressing. But that has dwindled to next. I mean, even now in the Sundays, you've got to really sort of scroll through the sports sections to find anything at all about cricket. Well, why do you think that is?
I know. I mean, the media's changed enormously. I mean, as I said just a moment ago, I've been doing it for 40 odd years. It's changed enormously. One of the biggest changes, of course, is that papers are very much on their way out now. They do still have an audience out there, and it's mainly an audience of, or almost exclusively an audience of older people. And it's a great shame now that they're on their way out. So it's all about websites and it's all about social media sites and getting your stuff out there now. And there is, as you say, a different emphasis. And in some ways, I find it surprising because space shouldn't be a problem. One of the biggest problems I always had when I worked in newspapers was getting it all in. When I worked in the office in the production side of things, and when I was fighting my corners to get good space for cricket, the biggest obstacle everybody had was fitting it all in like a jigsaw puzzle, really, and how much you're going to give to whatever sport and whatever story. But really, sport is infinite. It's finite now, isn't it? You're infinite. You just don't have to worry about that. So in a way, I'm surprised that you don't see as much county cricket as you used to. You don't see as many scorecards as you used to in the publications. But what you do see, of course, is people doing it in very different ways. And the county streams, for instance, have been fantastic, and the job the BBC do with commentating on county matches is fantastic because there is still a big county audience out there. I know you think that. I certainly do, and I'm amongst them. And one of the things that I've had more time to do in the last year is follow the county game more closely. As a bit of a lapsed Essex fan, but I've been taking an interest in them again and other counties. So people consume it in different ways, really, and there's still not but there's not that match report. When I worked at the Telegraph, we made great store by doing daily match reports on every county game. That doesn't happen anymore on the Telegraph, on the Times, or anywhere really. But which is a shame. But people consume it in different ways. As I say, people do it in different ways. The Athletic is a very interesting one because we don't do match reports and previews as such, which is what I used to do so much of. They try to get under the skin of a sport. They try to do it in depth. They try to do things that perhaps other people are not doing, subjects and issues that will be of interest to sports fans, perhaps not cricket devotees as well. This is an American-owned platform, as I say. So we want to try and appeal to an American audience. And that doesn't mean dumbing it down. That doesn't mean trying to explain it in simple terms for people who don't know anything about sport. It's explaining the game to people who are avid sports watchers who are perhaps not cricket devotees. But yeah, no, times change. Franchises obviously are taking over the world. But international cricket and Test cricket in particular are still vastly important. And we need to get as much coverage for them as we possibly can.
Yeah, there's as we speak, there is a franchise tournament going on in the States, isn't there? I think Glenn Maxwell was hitting the headlines, playing for LA Knight Riders. Is it? I think out there is the franchise in the league that they're playing. Sometimes I can't keep up with all of these franchises, but they are having a definite push to get cricket broad in America. And I guess what you're doing with the Athletic, that's going to help it massively. So your first piece is about the upcoming series, which everyone is looking forward to, where England are hosting India for a five-test series about to get underway on the 20th of June. Is it this week? Is it the 20th? I've got my dates right.
It's Friday, yeah. It
It
starts
is
on
Friday,
Friday.
yeah.
I've just arrived in Leeds myself to start getting ready for it, and it's Friday. The sun's shining, even in Leeds, and it's going to be a hugely exciting series, I think.
That's a rarity. That's rare. My daughter's at university in Leeds, so I know about how bad the weather can get up there. It's a new look India. Obviously, no Virat Kohli. Sharma's gone. Would you say this is a side in complete transition, or is it just kind of like evolving?
Well, as we know, Darren, India have got so much talent, haven't they? They've got reams of talented young players, and I'm sure whoever's going to step into Virat Kohli's shoes and Rohit Sharma's shoes are going to be good players. There's no doubt about that. Shubman Gill's taking on the captaincy. It'd be fascinating to see how he goes. Class player, of course, not with such a great record in England, but we'll see what he does. So I don't think we can say they're fully in transition, but they are evolving. There will be some new faces, and perhaps they might be vulnerable in English conditions. We know that England normally are hot favourites in their conditions, and that's against any side, really, even the really good sides like India and Australia. And of course, the big figure that I'm looking forward to seeing, I'm sure a lot of people are, is Jasprit Bumrah, just an incredible bowler. He's very much still here. even though some of the senior figures have gone. And it's how England play him, which will go a long way to deciding this series. I think England, as I speak, have just named their team, and I think it's the team most of us expected. Ollie Pope retains his place over Jacob Bethel. Sam Cook misses out, which is a shame for Essex followers like ourselves. But Bryden Cast and Josh Tongue will lead the attack with Chris Wokes, the veteran, in there, and Shoaib Bashir, the spinner they've invested so much in, who they are still back in to be the man for when they go to Australia this winter. So the stage is set really. India, yes, are in transition. The piece I wrote today, actually, the first piece I wrote for the Athletic, is more a look at India, the power, India, the global superpower of world cricket, how they dominate cricket off the field more than on it, really, and whether that is healthy for the game. I spoke to quite a few people about it and tried to present a balanced view, which is what the Athletic tried to do, to look at it in depth, weigh it up, present the figures and the arguments and see what people think. Because there's no question that India do hold the vast majority of power in the world game. We know how successful the IPL is. We know how successful Indian national team are. And really, the future health of world cricket and the future health of international cricket is very much in India's hands. So that's the subject that I'm looking into today. But very much looking forward to the on-field battle, which starts on Friday. That I'll be writing about.
Do you think? I mean, yes, it's inevitable with the amounts of money that are generated from these Indian massive conglomerates and individuals that run them, but also the massive following. It's over a billion or 1.8 billion people live in India, and I'm
Yeah.
guessing 1.799 billion of those are cricket fans. So that's all good and it's all powerful, but like any kind of power, is how you use it. I know there are, from a lot of people I talk to, there are people that have varying degrees of concern about Indian ownership of the 100 franchises going forward. I know
Yeah.
that's not nailed down as such, but have you? What are your views on their involvement with English cricket?
I think it's something to keep an eye on, really. I mean, the 100 sale brought in a vast amount of money, didn't it? Which potentially is fabulous news for the English game. But it's how that money is spent, it's how the how it's invested, really. And as I think one of my colleagues, Simon Wilde, put it in a piece he wrote for the Sunday Times. I thought he put it really well. Is are these golden handshakes for the smaller counties? Is this basically saying this is your lot, and now you're going to go away quietly and disappear in the next few years? Or is this a vote of confidence in the 18 county system and investment in the 18 county system to make sure they're still around? I mean, I have a huge amount of admiration for the regime at the top of the ECB now. I think they're the best in my time. In Richard Thompson and Richard Gould did a fabulous job at Surrey. They're very, very clever people, I think, and very good business people. So I think at least we're in safe hands. I think it's four of the 100 teams are going to be in Indian ownership. You mentioned America. That's very much the final frontier. And of course, the London Spirit team have been bought by Indian origin Americans, basically from Silicon Valley in California, who've got a vast amount of money and want to get into this thing. So on the surface, it's a good thing. It's whether they are just buying 100 teams or whether they're buying more influence in English cricket. It's whether the ECB will still be in control of English cricket and can say, okay, that's as far as this goes. We still want to invest in bilateral cricket. But of course, Indian ownership is everywhere. Their owners are the IPL owners are now investing in these various leagues throughout the world, including in America. So there's every chance within the next few years you're going to see that our leading players and leading players from other countries contracted to one IPL franchise and for playing for their various titles around the world. We've all seen it coming. It's very much on the horizon, and then it's where international cricket fits into that, really, and Test cricket in particular might just only have a certain window. So that's the scenario that I'm wary of. I did speak to a lot of voices for this piece who were very pro Indian investment and were very pro the Indian influence on the game. They do think that they use their power responsibly in that they play the smaller Test nations, for instance, more often really than England and Australia do. They're always touring. Their players are always playing, and their players have to represent their regions as well in the Ranji Trophy to play for India. So they still take first class cricket and red ball cricket seriously. So there are certainly two sides to the argument, and obviously India has a burgeoning economy now, and and cricket has ridden the wave really since the economy in India has become so powerful, and it's where it goes in the next 10 years, which will determine the game that we watch in our dotage, Darren.
I was talking to Jared Kimber a couple of weeks ago, and he made a really interesting point about he's had a lot of dealings and a lot of chats and formal interviews with a lot of these Indian billionaires and franchise owners. And what struck him was the fact that they all love Test cricket. They all absolutely love it. And he didn't seem to think that they would necessarily be doing anything to damage it. Now, I was at the World Test final at Lord's last weekend, and it was an amazing occasion. Obviously, the weather was fantastic, but Lord's was packed. It wasn't England playing. You had South Africa against Australia, the Clapham Cup, as one of my friends was calling it.
Very
But
good.
yeah, for those not aware of that, if you go to Clapham these days, it is full of South Africans and Australians. But yeah, Test cricket put in the right way is, there is still a lot of love for it, and I think you don't need to be as worried as possibly people are thinking with the new money that's coming in, because I think they are all of them fans of Test cricket as much as the franchise stuff.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. It's a very good point. It's putting their money where their mouths are, really, isn't it? Everybody says how much they love Test cricket. Everybody says how much we must protect the primacy of it. But it's putting that into reality, isn't it? And also, I do think there are a lot of young people, a lot of newcomers to the game who are getting into Test cricket now as well. It's all very well saying, young people have short attention spans. We've got to bring in the 100 because this is the game that's going to bring them into the game. Not necessarily, especially not the way England are playing it as well. This high octane all attacking form of Test cricket is really exciting. And as you say, that was great last week. I mean, so the two great bowling attacks dominated, didn't they? But what a win for the underdog in South Africa, finally winning a global tournament. And it was great. It was brilliant to see. And Test cricket obviously is still such a huge thing in England, isn't it? This series will be sold out. Every series virtually is still sold out, despite some ridiculously high prices. The year I spent as a fan, it really did hit home to me how much it costs to watch.
Yeah,
Watch
yeah.
Test cricket. I'm, very lucky and privileged to have got in for free for a lot of these years. So it's an expensive day out, but the demand is there. So I guess they can charge these prices if the demand is there. It's other countries, isn't it? We don't see the crowds in other countries that we see in England. Also, there's this worry that the big three will become, the only dominant Test countries: England, Australia, and India. But South Africa winning that was a blow for the underdog. It was a great result for the health of the game, really. And yes, these owners all say this that they love their Test cricket. So let's hope they really mean it, and let's hope they protect it, because they do have the power and the future of the game in their hands.
Coming back to this England India series, which is about to get underway, just being selfish from an Essex point of view, just to start off with, it was a bit of a surprise, I suppose, that Sam Cooke was included in the squad for this game. So therefore, it probably shouldn't be such a great surprise that he didn't make the final cut. I'm just wondering if that means he'll be available for Essex's county championship games that are coming up very shortly.
He might well be, mightn't he? I mean, I don't think we should write him off as an England bowler just yet. I don't think that the powers that be will do that. Okay, he had an average game on debut against Zimbabwe, didn't he? It wasn't the greatest, and sadly, I think because he, famously doesn't bowl particularly quickly, I think he'll be judged more quickly as a bowler than other people with a bit of pace might get more of a chance. That's not to say he's not going to get another chance again, but I think he's going to be very much Chris Wokes' backup, really. He's going to be Chris Wokes' deputy. I don't think there's room for two bowlers of that ilk. Not to say that they're particularly similar, but maybe their pace is similar. Sam's a little bit below Wokesy, I think. But they want two express pace bowlers in that team. Obviously, they want Mark Wood and Josh Archer if they're fit, and they see Josh Tongue and to a lesser extent Bryden Cast as the men to replace them if they're not fit. With only one place for a sort of medium fast seamer, really. The good news for Sam, obviously, is that the Kookaburra ball has started doing a bit more for seamers in Australia. So there's still a chance, I think, that he will be in the picture for this winter. I think Essex fans will see him a bit maybe in the next few weeks. I don't think he's going to play in this series too much unless there are injuries. You can never rule that out. But we know what a good bowler is. We know what a fabulous first class record he's got. The England management always said they hadn't discounted him, that they were keeping an eye on him, and they gave him his chance. But we also know that bowlers don't get as many chances as batters. So even though maybe he'll be judged quickly because he only bowls late 70s, early 80s miles per hour, I don't think we should necessarily say that he's not going to get a chance again.
Looking at the batting lineup, Zach Crawley retains his place. Is that on the back of his golf handicap?
I know a lot of people think that, don't they? I know that he's been backed more than virtually any batter in recent times here of all time, really. But England are certain about this, that he is the man. He is the man for the big occasion. He is the man for Australia. And so much of our cricket, whether we like it or not, is still judged on how we do in the Ashes. I do think England have got a decent chance there this winter. And Crawley's their man, so I think he needs to get ducks in every innings in this series for his place to even come under question. And even then, he still might open the batting in the first test in Perth in November. But when you see him at his best, and when you see him the runs flowing from him, you know what England mean, and nothing sums it up better than that first ball at Edgbaston in the last Ashes series, which he just dispatched before. Everybody was expecting England to make a big statement. Apparently, Marnus Labuschagne was chirping at Crawley, "Oh, you're going to go for the big shot, are you? Come on, let's see what you're made of." And he just did it, and it got the series off to such an amazing start. I know England didn't win that game in the end, but if it hadn't been for the rain in Manchester, I'm certain they would have come from two down to win 3-2. And Crawley he's got a few runs in so far this season, hasn't he? He's not going into this series completely out of form. But to England, they want him to influence a couple of games a series, and if he scores two big centuries in this series, they'll be happy if he fails in the other matches. And I can see their point, because he is a better test player, and he's better on test pitches than he is on county pitches. And there's no mistaking that he is their man. There's been talk about Pope and Bethel at three, but there's no way that Crawley's going to be dropped for one of those two, and one of them opening. I'm certain of that.
Just made me a thought pop into my head, that how many Ashes series in recent times are memorable for the very first ball? You said about Zach at Edgbaston, but I'm thinking back to Rory Burns
Yeah,
down under in the last down under the first
yeah.
ball there.
That
Um,
set the tone, didn't it? Yeah,
Steve Harmison,
yeah.
going back a bit further, and then go back to 2005, which incredibly is 20 years ago now,
I know.
and that amazing day one at Lords, and again, England playing with as we'd never seen them around about that time. It was an incredible thing.
Absolutely. And going back further than that, you have the first ball, Phil de Freitas bowled at Michael Slater, that was detached to the boundary, dispatched to the boundary. So yeah, these things do set the tone, don't they? And they are memorable. You think back in history at these things, and yeah, 20 years since 2005, there's still not been a series like that, has there? And a couple of series have come close, even 23. If it hadn't rained in Manchester, that would have been
Yeah.
an all-time classic series. It would have been almost as good as '05. But yeah, these things do set the tone, and we can't wait to see what happens in Perth this winter, can we? And there's no question these two series will define this England regime. I'm a big fan of what they've done since Stokes and McCullum came together at the start of 2002 summer, 2022 summer. Sorry, not 2002. They've not been going on. Um, but they haven't beaten India or Australia yet in a series, and they lost 4-1 away in India at the start of last year. Of course, very very different kettle of fish playing in India than it is in playing English conditions. But they need to win these series for this regime to be considered a great one. I certainly think that they're going to beat India in this series. I'm very confident about that. And I'm quite confident about the winter, actually. Australia are suddenly looking an old side, aren't they? They were starting to show their age a bit at Lords last week. The bowling attack is still phenomenal, and they still keep on going, but they are all very much the wrong side of 30. And so it's going to hit them at some point, isn't it? As Michael Afton wrote in the Times last week, with Jason Gillespie, great bowler, great guy. It suddenly ended for him in that 2005 series. All of a sudden, he just didn't have it anymore. And is that going to happen with Pat Cummins, Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood? We shall see. But yeah, no, it's a certainly enticing prospect, and the next 10 tests will define the success or otherwise of Bazball. I've no doubt about that.
And your old mate Nathan Lyon looked a bit ordinary at Lords as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he didn't. He did never like me, Nathan. He's not one of
No.
not one of my fans. Sadly, sadly, in those 18 years at the Mail, you do make the odd enemy along the way. I remember taking it. I personally took against him when he launched an unprovoked attack on Matt Pryor when we were doing a press conference in Brisbane a few years ago. That's when I thought, that's a bit ordinary, Gary, whatever they call him. But no, he's still a good bowler. But I should say people who know him say he's a great guy, but I've never had the privilege of getting to know him too much. But again, getting on, not so much of a problem for spinners, perhaps. Yeah, if he goes, I'm not sure where their spin's going to come from. And I know they've got Scott Boland to cover for the seamers, but no, they're suddenly looking a little old. And while I'd be loath to write them off just yet, I think we've got some exciting months ahead.
Never write off the old guys, is what I say. Never write them off.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
just give us a
yeah,
plug again for the Athletic.
yeah, maybe I'm proof of that. I don't know. The old guy hits back. I was telling the other cricket writers I'm a placement for Help the Aged. That's what I'm doing here back in the. But
Well,
yes, it's the Athletic. You can just Google the Athletic. You need the global sports page or Google my name, and you'll find some cricket. And it's also on the New York Times website. The Athletic is essentially the New York Times sports section these days. So you can find it there. And as I say, as far as I'm aware, I'm pretty certain in saying all the cricket is going to be free to read. Not just me, Nick Miller, who's a brilliant writer and appears on the cliche football cliches podcast. If anybody out there's a fan of that, he's going to be writing as well. Richard Sutton, who's a Yorkshireman who does a brilliant job on covering Wrexham Football Club for the Athletic. He's going to be writing from Headlngley as well. And it's really exciting. I'm so pleased to be part of this. It's something that's happened when as I say, I thought I was done really, but this it's a great opportunity. An organisation I have huge respect for, and I think it's good for cricket that they're getting involved. So hopefully, these things are always judged on numbers these days. That's how the media is judged, really. So hopefully, it'll get a lot of people reading it, and they'll carry on doing their cricket coverage way beyond this series.
well, you've got a lot of fans from this neck of the woods and from that 98. They're out. We're all going to support you. We're all going to subscribe. We're all going to get you the numbers up. And it's wonderful to see one of our own back where he belongs. In fact, heading to heady, even more heady new heights with the Athletics. So, Paul, great to see you. All the best with this new thing. I'm sure you're going to be fantastic. And it's very, very exciting from what I can work out.
Thank you, Darren. That's very kind of you to say. Yes, I'm really looking forward to it. It's lovely to be back. And I've got it's a quality platform, so I've got to learn a few big words now. So I'm going to go off and look at the thesaurus and the dictionary, and I'll be back on the site. So I've written a piece on the England captaincy and spoken to people like Gucci and Nasser and David Gower, and even Derek Pringle, who was England captain for a day back in 1988. So that piece is on online tomorrow, and it's always a pleasure to speak to Gucci because he remains my all-time hero in the game. So very thrilled to do that, and please, if everybody can read, I'd be very grateful, and thank you for your kind words.
And thanks for spending a little time with the Backwater podcast called 98 Not Out.
Never a backwater. No, God, when we first spoke, you might have been a backwater. Not now. The quality of the guests you get on here, it's always a pleasure, and it's always fantastic to see your podcast becoming such a big deal. It really is. No, congratulations on everything you've achieved with this.
You're too kind. Paul Newman from The Athletic these days. The Athletic. Make sure you subscribe, Google in, do whatever, and follow the link in the comments.